What is seeing everybody? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective. I am your host, Prime.
It's your boy Shabba.
Enough. Well, one.
Yeah, man, and we're bringing you the best teams, the best players, and the best takes on global sports from a Caribbean perspective right here. And boy, it's good to be back. After a little while, a little break off, went and handled some business on the other side of the world and things like that. We're back in the building and ready to cook. We had some exciting things, and I must shout out to Shabba and Dopy holding it down, especially Shabba on that solo
Yeah,
episode,
so
you know,
the first
giving you a
episode,
taste
but
of the versatility that we have here on GSCP, always dedicated to bring you the news, bring you the takes, bring you the updates, no matter what. And speaking of the news and speaking of the updates, you see me repping here today instantly, as a Caribbean family. We all one, when one are we hurting, all are we hurting. Thoughts and prayers go out to Jamaica right now. We know that the north and the west of the island has suffered a lot, mostly from the impacts of Category 5 Hurricane Melissa. Lots of people losing their homes, people losing their lives and their livelihoods. And Jamaica right now needs as much help as they could possibly get. So, we want to use our platform as early as possible to offer some support. We're going to put the links for donation in the bio, in the description. I'll put it right down below. And, we're encouraging everybody, whatever you can, support the relief efforts in whatever way you can. And, let's get some help to the people that need it most. Hearts go out to Jamaica. And of course, me personally, lots of friends, I have people that I know personally who've been affected by this hurricane. So really hit us in the heart, most definitely. So again, wanna raise that as early as possible. Yeah, so here at GSCP, we turning passion into purpose and we want to bring you the latest news, the latest updates. And right now, we just had an exciting week, 2 wonderful days in one match day of UEFA Champions League football. New format again, the second time running, and I gotta say, I really liking this new format. It keeps you on your toes.
A lot of big games.
Certainly, a lot of big games. As they promised, the teams are playing each other a little bit more frequently. We have issues with the schedule and so forth, but so far so good. We want to dive right into it. We got Liverpool versus Real Madrid. That was on Tuesday at Anfield. Arne Slot coming up against Real Madrid. It's a fixture that we've seen in the competition. Liverpool winning out again this time with a clean sheet, 1-0. Wonderful goal from McAllister. Uh, how did the game play out? I know you guys, as Real Madrid fans, the silences, it's
Defi-
telling, it's
def-
deafening. Give me your thoughts on the match.
we started off really brightly. Vinny was taking Connor down the line early, so there was some signs that we could actually do something. But then after a while, they quickly fizzled out. Liverpool posed their dominance in the game. And quite frankly, it could have been a lot more than 1-0. It could have been about 4 goals. The weakness, uh, yeah, the weakness on set pieces or balls coming in the box in the air, exploited. Seemed like every time a ball came into the box, it was a Liverpool head to it. And McAllister scoring a header, I mean, lovely movement in the box and everything, but I mean, we got to be better than that. So it shows some weaknesses there, and then there was no bite, no intensity, no desire, no tenacity, nothing from Real Madrid
Sure, no energy.
at all. I mean, Conor Bradley pocketed Vinicius for about 83 minutes, really and truly. It was really poor from abysmal from Real Madrid, to be very honest.
Bradley had a hell of a game.
yeah, the point I want to touch on first that Dappy mentioned is most definitely the intensity. We did not match Liverpool and Anfield's intensity at all. And basically, we threw all of the good work that we did against Barcelona out the window. He went and he repeated the same 11 with basically the same tactics. And put Camavinga on the right side of midfield, basically as a winger. We had no threat going down that side, obviously. Obviously, now Camavinga is not going to be an offensive threat. So now the onus is on Vinicius, who is going to be double and triple team. So while
Because
Connor
you've been back.
Bradley most definitely clamped him for the entire game, except for the early minutes, as you mentioned, he was getting double and Gravenberch was coming across and Konate was coming across. So it was really difficult for us because our plan looked like give the ball to Vinicius
Mhm.
and pray because the midfield was overrun too many Aragule who I wanna speak on because this is another big game for him and he's not performed well. He played well against Atletico Madrid when he scored and assisted, but off the ball, that's the problem. And
The off the ball.
Xabi Alonso is forcing him into this deep lying role, which he's definitely not suited to. And all of this is a problem that we never addressed when Cruz and Modric left. In these big games, you need midfield control. You
So I really want to talk about that midfield battle because what I saw from Liverpool was in the earlier exchanges, a test, like they were testing to see what was happening in the midfield, with those, questioning balls coming directly through the midfield. And I think after maybe about 20-25 minutes, they realized, wait, there isn't really much of a press coming in on these passes, so I could be a little bit more direct. And I think what that did is that built up the transitions that Liverpool were able to have. They increased the touches in the final third, and then they started to really grow into the game a bit more, become a little bit more threatening. Then you saw like the likes of Salah getting into it. I don't think Ekitike had a particularly great
yeah,
great game, but on the other side, the amount of times they were getting into those positions, like you said, I expected them to score at least another goal or two.
I want to give a lot of credit to Arne Slot because he was coming under a lot of criticism, rightly so, for the run of defeats that Liverpool were facing. But the way that he set up his team on Tuesday was reminiscent of last season's Liverpool, where they had McAllister, Gravenberch, and Szoboszlai in central areas, which is their best midfield partnership. So
Most
really,
I could really hit them, but
Szoboszlai is definitely one of the best midfield players in the world right now. Very underrated, hardly ever spoken of in the Caicedo, Declan Rice, Pedri, Jude Bellingham conversations, but he's definitely up there. He was the best midfield player on the field with Jude Bellingham, or than Truman in Camavinga. So that's credit to him and Slap, like I said, for setting them up in that way. Totally outclassed Xabi Alonso, I would say. And last season they met as well in the Champions League, and he beat him as well. So that's 2 years in a row where Liverpool has beaten us, and 2 years in a row where Slat has beaten Alonso. So he clearly has a number over him, and Alonso has a lot of work to do because, like I said, the midfield is our main issue, along with Dean Huijsen, who's a bit shaky in these big games alongside Carreras. Thankful for Militao for holding it down, obviously, and Courtois, who I have a hot take on later on before we move on to the next topic. If not for them, like you said, it would have been a massacre.
Yeah, and not to cut you
Mhm.
off, but wanted to touch on goal and those the last two guys you spoke about.
Mhm.
Something happened in El Clasico before the first goal, and I was like, that's odd. He didn't scan the field. I thought it was kind of crazy because as a midfielder, that's
And look for
supposed to be your
runners. Yeah.
second nature. That's supposed to,
Yeah.
not even just
Swivel.
pressure. Just the pressure coming on to you. You look, okay, so this guy has a man left. I turn to the right. Oh, I go forward. And then he played it back when he had the opportunity to turn into space and do something a bit more direct and, just put us onto the attack in front. When I think it was Militao played that ball to him in the Clasico. He didn't scan at all again. It was a bad ball because it bounced. He had to control and so forth. But I think that if he had scanned, he would have better dealt with the situation and we wouldn't give no well goal. So I think it's something he needs to work on. But
The
it's
awareness.
really crazy to me that midfielder, a 10, it's not scanning, fourth hand, looking over his shoulder. Declan Rice does it
Mm.
like that. So it was crazy. And I think like Hoyson, the onus is on him to play the ball out of the back. So it seems like when those passing lanes are cut off, then it's more difficult for him, or he wouldn't then, probably the first option, the second option, cut off. Now he
Mhm.
has to look for a longer pass or a riskier pass. I think that's the issue instead of just trying to have any confidence and play it back to Courtois. I think that's one of his main issues, knowing, when to make that pass, when it's not the right time to. And Carreras just has to stay on his feet because he just goes to the ground every time
Mhm.
there's a runner. I mean, yeah, you're trying to put pressure, but he just has to stay on his feet because he loses composure and gives the guy about 3 yards while he's on the floor.
Space.
Yeah.
I think moving on from this fixture, Liverpool take a lot of confidence, especially going into that fixture they have coming up with Man City. But for Madrid, um, a bit of the same for the season so far. We're not really sure which Madrid would turn up on which particular day. So good performance in the Clasico, disappointing performance now in the UCL. How does Madrid now translate that into moving forward, picking themselves up again, and
Well,
continuing towards the objectives?
Rayo Vallecano on the weekend is not going to be an easy game. Over the past 3 seasons, there have been 3 draws. I think 2 losses, 2 draws and a loss. At least Madrid have not won at Vallecas since 2021-22 season. So it's not a happy hunting ground for us. It's gonna be loud and raucous, just like Anfield was. They're gonna be on us, pressing. And Chouameni is out now with an injury for 3 weeks. So it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be very, very difficult. I have no idea how we're gonna react because after we lost to Atletico, I had no idea how we were gonna react as well because this is a new era that we're in, man.
Coach, everything.
We don't seem to be responding well to adversity recently, I would say. Our remontada mentality and that kind of thing seems to have left us somewhat. Even while watching that game on Tuesday, while obviously being one of the biggest fans and always thinking your team can score back, I never really thought that we were gonna score back.
I think I switched to check another game because
Because
I don't wanna point the finger too much on Mbappe because he's obviously a goal machine, right? And he's been more positive than negative since he's been at the club. But one thing I wanna say in these big European games, he seems to go missing a bit. He seems to go missing a bit, right? And it's not a coincidence that as soon as he left Paris, they went ahead and win
the
and,
champion.
and won the Champions League. Small differences like aerial duels. He hardly challenges for aerial duels. He doesn't come and link up short in these tight games. He thrives on space and chaos and running in behind. But when it's not like that and it's a bit difficult and you rely on your technical quality, games like these are where Benzema used to shine. Because he's gonna come and relieve the
Yeah,
pressure.
really the pressure, hold up the
And we were
and
under
the
a
shoot.
lot of pressure. Think the amount of times that Sobers like shot from outside the box before he scored. Well, he didn't score, but before Liverpool scored, I meant.
But he was looking like
Sobers like lined up about 3-4 shots from outside the box, and that was crazy. So we never released the pressure once, and Mbappe definitely has to do better. But like I said, he's done more good than bad. So I don't want to pile on him too much. But before we move on, the hot take that I had is
Couture.
for Courtois. I think that Courtois has overtaken Iker Casillas as Madrid's greatest ever goalkeeper, and he's now entering in all-time great goalkeeping conversations with the likes of Manuel Neuer and Gianluigi Buffon. The only thing he won't get is international accolades, but what he's done saving Madrid's backline so much over the years. And I know you saw those saves on Tuesday.
Crazy.
So that's just my hot take.
I'll come back to talking about goalkeeper.
Make up yourself.
I'll come back to talk about goalkeeper and having a good goalkeeper. Um, the UCL champions held by Bayern at their own stadium. 2-1 Bayern. Bayern machinery looking serious. Why is that about 41 unbeaten streak in the UCL? Or just generally, I think they're on a streak right now, about 41 games.
I know they're on a streak of 16 wins out of 16 to
check.
start.
16 wins from 16
Yeah,
to
for the
start the season is the streak that Bayern is on. And I definitely, like we discussed on the preview show, I did not rate Bayern that highly coming into the season, to be honest, because I didn't rate Vincent Kompany that highly as a coach to take them to the levels that they're showing currently. But 16 wins from 16 speaks for itself. You went to the home of the current European champions and win. There's nothing that I could do but stand up and recognize what is taking place. Luis Diaz has definitely come in and made a difference. Whereas I thought he would have just been another player there. He's a standout player.
Yeah, team
He's a standout player, one of the best players in Europe this season. Right? Michael Allister as well. Magic. Just pure magic every time he gets the ball.
That's
Thierry Henry even mentioned it in on the CBS show where he and Lamine Yamal are really the only two players that make him sit at the edge of his seat
and so on.
and say, wow. Right? So Bayern are on a serious run. Credit to company. PSG not hitting the strides that they did last season. Dembele is out with another injury. So it's still early in the season to make many definitive statements about Bayern being the best team in Europe, but so far they definitely are.
I've got it here. Bayern Munich have now gone unbeaten in 41 consecutive UCL group stage games. That's the all-time record.
Wow. Yeah, Vincent Company, as Shab said.
Oh boy, and that includes a few games against Barcelona in the group stage. Sure.
As Shab said, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be this good.
Mm.
I know Company is a leader of men, but it seems like he has the tactical IQ and awareness to put a team out and know what to tell them, where to send them, because
Not just a man manager.
it's not just a man manager, it's not just stars helping him to prevail,
There's structure in his team.
right? If you sit and watch Bayern as I was telling the guys before we came on air,
Mhm.
Kane would drop deep. And if Kane drops deep, that means the defender would naturally drop deep with Kane, the centre back. And sometimes Nabry, who was playing at Cam or in central midfield, would drop right next to Kane. And this is, when I say drop right next to Kane, this is centre circle where the central defensive midfielder should be collecting the ball. And when that happens, the centre back rush onto them, which leaves gaps in behind, and those gaps are filled by the wing backs. Weirdly enough, Luis Diaz would fill in slots, but more often than not, you would find the wing backs like Stanisic and
Rafael Guerrero, because Alfonso Davis is out.
correct. You will find those guys and Lima,
And
Conrad Lima as well. Yes, you will find those guys diverting and inverting where Kane and Naby should be, and they are really doing the damage. Kane making late runs, and so it's really hard to mark. It's really hard to keep track of, and I think that's one of the main reasons why Bayern are so good this season.
I like the rotation um of the players. I also like that he makes rooms, it seems, in the tactical approach for the different styles and the profiles that he has. And he's just kind of using what he has. I haven't heard him like, a lot of European coaches complain, don't have this tool, I don't have that tool. I can't, I could only, it's just business.
Yeah, it
Seems
just
to be, well ingrained into the German philosophy too, just business.
yeah, stars all around too
Mhm.
as well, quality players, and that makes the job even easier. As Chap said, Michael Olise, Nabry, Luis Diaz, Harry Kane is still the best number 9 in the world. All in Haaland would have some things to say about that, but when we talk about all-round game, being able to drop shot, pass,
So Harry.
and these passes are killer passes. These passes are passes that
So
a central
Harry.
attacking midfielder should be making. This guy is unbelievable.
So
a player who
Harry.
hasn't been mentioned, who I think deserves a lot of praise as well, who is usually thought of as a joke, is Diet Upamecano, who's definitely held on the defense really, really well. And I'd go as far as to say he's one of the best defenders, best centre backs in all of Europe right now.
The,
Let's be real.
the only thing going against him is compilation videos on YouTube and TikTok edits.
Yeah, yeah. But if you actually watch any games, he's dominant.
Stepping really
He's a dominant player physically and he can pass the ball.
I always like that profile of defender,
Yeah, I want to shout
beat
him
the
out.
ball.
One thing I want to say about Bayern, though, we're going to learn a lot about them in their next Champions League game against Arsenal for
And
sure at
and that
Emirates.
and that is exactly who we want to move on. Before we get into some analysis of their victory, um, don't do this to me, Arsenal. Don't don't entice me again and have me have me dreaming and have me hoping and starting to want all the best for you. And don't do me that. Don't do me that. But all you're looking, I must say, I must say, looking good. Arsenal with another win, another clean sheet, another solid performance, 3-0 against Slavia Prague at the Emirates. Um, without Let's not talk about Arsenal in the context of what they may or may not achieve. Let's just talk about what they are doing right now. How highly do we rate this Arsenal team in terms of performances, what they've shown us so far this season?
I rate them very highly. Very highly. You just mentioned being Bayern beating Paris. So we might consider Bayern to be the best team in Europe right now, but I consider Arsenal to be the next best team in Europe. And I think that's not even up for discussion at the moment because they're so consistent. 10 wins in a row in our competitions, 8 clean sheets in a row in our competitions.
Multiple
Only
goals.
allowed 3 goals for the entire season versus Man City, versus Liverpool, and versus Newcastle. So they've only allowed 3 goals for the entire season. Every other game is a clean sheet. So that is actually crazy. That's actually crazy.
The last 4 games I had one shot on target. On target, one shot in 4 games. Like
So
keeper just
that means David Raya is there on vacation basically, right? So they have serious solidity at the back. They have strength in depth in every position, front and back as well. And they have a mean streak because we see Gabriel and the likes always up for a fight. Always up for a fight. You cannot punk this Arsenal team. So then they have magic up front with Bukayo Saka, who is hopefully he can stiff it. Gakra out right now. But Marino is leading the line well.
Big up Ben Moss.
Marino is leading the line well. Eze has fitted like a glove. Declan Rice is doing his thing. Zubimendi, brilliant. He's gonna replace Rodri in the national team. So what else can be said about Arsenal that hasn't been said in terms of giving him praise? Much praise to Mikel Arteta and his team now because the only thing that is left is for them to go over the line and actually win a trophy. So we could stop thinking of them as a joke because they're clearly not.
Serious club and serious analysis. Shabba waxing lyrical about one of his favorite teams this season, and I gotta say, they buy me over, No, no, any special agents thing or anything. And
Saka is a bad boy.
I told a friend recently how I feel about the two club allegiance business. I won't bring that to the
Saka is a bad.
to the podcast, but y'all are doing
No,
incredible
we
work.
could
Anyway,
bring it.
Arsenal?
We could bring it to the podcast,
Yes,
bro.
true.
Could bring
Yeah,
straight up.
the-
If you supporting two teams as a big man, you're not a real fan. Because what gonna happen now when your two teams meet? Let's be real, bro. This is sports podcast, eh? We're talking real. You cannot have two club teams in Europe
Yeah, what's
and
that about, man?
call yourself a serious fan.
Yeah, well,
Let's be real.
Man, say if Maranakis could do it, they could do it.
oh, no, people are watching multiple leagues. I not understand what you mean when you say, okay, you're Spanish team. English. I understand what
It just kind of make me cringe.
both teams are playing each other in European competition, and the European competition is the pinnacle of European football.
Exactly.
So what's going to happen when, for example, your two teams, you know, attacking direct with you. Your two team play, you're back in Liverpool and you're back in Real Madrid. They're harassing me because I supported Barcelona. I can't argue with you.
Correct.
Yeah, about what? Yeah, about 23, 24 more
Yeah,
players than you.
files, yeah, files.
Yeah, about 23,
Crazy.
24 more players than you. Every time I make 1 point, it's a real game. I want to know who you was happy for and who you been vexed with in the last fixture. You win and you lose. So me, I know if I tell you now.
Yeah, that's just something I had to get off of my chest because that does really owe me, bro.
Let me see.
Oh, bro.
Some of the other fixtures, Letty, the only Spanish team
To win this week.
to win in this UCL match day.
Crazy.
I mean, not really
Fair,
the
yeah.
strongest opposition they were up against, considering Madrid and
Deb-
the likes of Liverpool.
Debutants, they play like debutants.
Well, Barcelona not with as strong of opposition, but proven to be strong. We'll get to that.
We'll get to them.
We'll get to that. But 3-1 over Union Saint. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. You know, I'm not even gonna cap.
Union Saint Gilloise.
Wow.
Let's try that.
See
It
that?
seems like a French pronunciation.
So like Targa, American Richards. Okay, so Union Saint Gilo.
Okay, it look kind of like Eloise's Giloise. Eloise? Yeah. The Atletico with a 3-1 victory. Simeone and his team tend to clean up and get the job done when necessary. Not necessarily flying high this season by any measure, even for Atletico, but certainly are figuring things out a little bit by bit. But I still think that when they face tough opposition in this competition in particular, I'm not sure I see them going very, very deep into the competition unless they get things together and get more consistent, to be honest.
Yeah, not much to add, to be honest, because Atleti would usually sweep away weaker teams, especially at home where they're usually hard to beat. So not really much to say because Union Saint Gilloise is a debutant in this season's Champions League, so they'd be considered a minnow who Atletico was expected to sweep by.
Tottenham with a standout 4-0 win against Copenhagen. Monaco with a win over Glint. Juventus drawing with Sporting. Olympiacos also held by PSV. Napoli in a goalless draw with Frankfurt. Moving on to the
Before you move on to Wednesday, I just
Yes,
want
sir.
to shout out Mickey van der Ven for that goal that he scored for
Mhm.
Tottenham against Copenhagen. Editor, I'm gonna need you to clip this up on our socials. That goal from Mickey van der Ven
Bad
is
goal.
clip worthy, most definitely.
Checkers. Moving on to the Wednesday fixtures. Another Spanish team falling the yellow slope, holding a 1-0
To who?
defeat to
Paphos.
Paphos FC.
Shout out to them though.
Shout
Yeah,
out to
big on the
Paphos,
first
but
win in the
first
Champions
win
League,
in the
right?
Champions
Yeah.
League, hot one. Always a good to see a smaller team thriving.
Yeah.
And I guess this is the promise of the new format. That's get to see new teams as much as we like to see the big teams and the big clubs. We get to see new teams and new stories being new football teams from new countries and so
Yeah, yeah.
being
So it's
added
all
and being involved.
Shout out
That's
to
good to see.
Paphos.
Big up Paphos. Chelsea held 2-2 with another interestingly pronounced
Karabakh.
football team, Karabakh.
Yeah, Karabakh.
All right, Karabakh. And not FC, but FK. I guess that's football club
Yeah.
as well.
Then
Uh,
Danish, I think.
yeah, then a Danish team in particular. Um, we spoke about Chelsea earlier this season and how we don't really think that they would have enough to go. Is this an indication of such?
Most definitely they always blow hot and cold. Like I always mention, you never know what you're gonna get with them. One week they're flying, another week they're losing to Sunderland. You know what I'm saying? So Estevao is a shining light. Seems to be hitting his stride. Very young player from Brazil, exciting player. Garnacho scored another goal as well. Garnacho scored another goal as well. Don't really rate him that highly, but there's another body there. Like Chelsea, you never know what to expect with them. Like Karabakh is a team they should be beaten,
Easily.
right? So that's 2 points dropped in the league phase, and they're only 12th right now, and they have Barcelona coming up sometime as well. So that's gonna be a tough fixture for both teams. So
I think Barcelona just sitting right above them.
so it's most definitely Chelsea the onus is on Chelsea to be more consistent.
Mhm. Let's look at the performance of some of the other English rivals in comparison. Newcastle with a 2-0 win over another Spanish club.
Atletico.
Valverde and his men are experiencing a taste of that Newcastle flair and what it's like to actually go to Newcastle. Not every Spanish team can go to, St. James and pull out with a win.
Newcastle have actually had a very impressive start to the Champions League
Yeah.
season. Aside from losing to Barcelona, they've won their other 3 games. And they're sitting
Clean
in
sheet in
top.
this game. Sitting decent.
They're sitting very.
Looking like they might avoid the playoff.
Yeah, they're sitting very well right now.
Can't say the
6th
same
place
for us.
in the league phase. So
Yeah, big up Eddie Howe and the boys. Still a few more games to play, but even in the Premier League, they show that they can be solid and not concede goals. So I believe it's a solid base,
most
to win
definitely
games.
they have a serious base, and if Baltimore hits
Mm.
form,
All right. And then all in all, Manchester City hitting the robot against his former team. 4-1 against Dortmund. And boy, I really hope for future Real Madrid though by all in all.
Well, yeah, contract till 2034, so
Please,
it's a long way.
please. Don't let it happen.
No time to be concerned.
The football gods won't let that happen. They won't let it
But that's what a real number 9 does. Haaland Haaland has been flying. He's yet to score a hat trick. Um, this is
race, man.
brace. He didn't get a brace in this game though. The brace fell to Phil Foden.
Yeah,
Who seems to be
catching.
loving life again. Um, Shout out to Jeremy Doku, who has been unbelievable, really. I mean, he's added more to his game with decision making and just more decisive in terms of where to play a pass, how to play a pass.
Great show.
It's really hard to stop him too.
crazy.
It's a crazy player in real battle, so it's
Unstoppable.
unstoppable. So if Jeremy Doku could continue on this trajectory, then Man City would be in good shape. I mean, Haaland is already doing what he does, but I think that the supporting cast, like what Phil Foden did and Ryan Chalky came on to do later, need to add a bit more in helping him to score goals because
The onus is on him.
if he doesn't score, then the onus is on them
Yeah.
to yeah. So we need the supporting cast to pitch in a bit more. That's all I think about City, but they have been flying and big up to Pep for getting things back on track.
One player I want to echo that you shouted out there. Great shout with Doku. But the player I want to echo is Ryan Chalky because since he's came back from injury, there's another assist for him. He had 2 on the weekend. He's hitting form. He seems to be finding his stride in England and with the City team. It's going to be very interesting to see how Pep is going to use him in this Liverpool game coming up on the weekend because in the last big game in England versus Arsenal, albeit it was at the Emirates, this one will be at the Etihad. They sat up in a somewhat low block, which is anti-Pep. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how they set up versus Liverpool on Sunday. I wanna see him take the game to Liverpool with Foden, with Chalky, with Doku, and not necessarily retreat with Bernardo and
Yeah.
Nico Gonzalez, and you know what I'm saying. I wanna see him go for it on Sunday.
That's fair.
All right. Checking out some of the other results. Atalanta with a 1-0 win over Marseille. Bayer Leverkusen with another 1-0 win over Benfica.
Just while you
Picking up
before
some
before you
points
go
there.
there, that's 4 losses in 4 now for Benfica, who are coached by
Jose.
Jose Mourinho, and that's Bayer Leverkusen's first win. So
Yes,
that was
Champions League.
yeah.
Yeah. Galatasaray pulling off an impressive 3-0 win versus Ajax. Galatasaray punching and looking to we'll talk about Osimhen in a bit. Inter with a 2-1 win over FC. I think that is Kairat. Kairat.
Yeah.
We need to be
Almaty.
more clinical, guys. So, it's unfortunate. A good bit of it, especially from the first half, and they were missing chances here, there, and everywhere.
Well,
So,
one team that wasn't missing chances is the final fixture in the ECL we want to talk about. I could have swear. I mean, not just because they're in black and blue, I could have swear it was Inter Milan we were playing. It actually did remind me a lot of the semi-final, albeit the one played at the camp. Well, not camp, but at home
The
at the
Montreal.
Monterey last season. Club Brugge, honestly, it could have been 5 or 6. I'm not even trying to be dramatic. It could have been 5 or 6 goals for Club Brugge. 3-3 with Barcelona. And right now, I'm going to let Allister first.
Okay, so I know you want to get into it, so I'll just
All
touch.
right.
I want to touch a few points quickly because Hansi Flick has clearly shown his, you know, inability to change his approach to games, unwillingness and inability to change his approach to things. It's clearly not working, clearly. And Barca are scoring less goals than last season. So his bet is to outscore his opponents every game with the firepower that is available to him. Obviously, now Lewandowski is coming back. Daniel is coming back. Lamine is hitting farm after his little groin injury. Rafinha is the only one out, so he seems to be betting on outscoring any of his opponents, right? But again, Thierry Henry mentioned on the CBS show that there's no way you're gonna win the competition playing that way. It could only take you so far, right? And it's great to watch, for sure,
As a
as a rival fan, because every game teams are gonna get chances against you guys, and it's just up to them how clinical they are. That's literally the bet that you guys are making in every game. So I think the problem here lies with the coach, most definitely, and his unwillingness to retreat his defensive line a bit, considering they lost the pillar of the defense, Mr. Inigo Martinez,
but
no longer there. So you definitely have to adjust, and he's clearly not
it kind
going to
of
do
gave
that.
me Ruben Amorim vibes in a way.
Very
Always.
stubborn,
Yeah.
very stubborn. It's been shown to be a successful tactic as well. They've won the domestic treble last year. He's won a big treble with Bayern before. He's a great coach. But come on, it comes a point.
It doesn't seem like he's ever really successful in his second season, though, because
Great
there's a
point.
talk about his second season.
Great
So,
point.
and I remember you touched on it. Well, you didn't touch on it. You said that you feel that they will be found out,
Yeah.
and so said so done. It's
Despite all of the negatives before you start Prime, I think there's still some positives
Mhm.
from the result. And aside from the players coming back from injury, there is a camaraderie within the team that I mentioned that Madrid is currently lacking. Because even though Barca were down 3-2, I never really felt like they were going to lose. I always felt like the goal was going to come somewhere. So at least Hansi Flick has instilled that never say die mentality with his team, and they always fight towards the end. And the international break is coming up as well, so you should recover more players. So there are some positives despite the
It's,
negatives.
yeah.
But you can go now.
The rant I want to rant. I don't want to make any grand conclusions about this team just yet. Out of respect for the coach and what he accomplished last season. It wasn't easy to come into Barcelona. The expectations were not high, so he outperformed last season greatly, in my opinion. I did not expect to see the Barcelona that we saw last season in terms of performances, not even in terms of just like trophies or results. Performances, I did not think that those players were at that level, at least capable of that level, or any consistency at that level last season. I didn't have that kind of faith in the team. Being honest, they didn't give me that kind of vibes from traveling last season. The reason I can't make any grand conclusions about the team yet is just there's so many variables to the performances right now. I mean, it might be easy to say, okay, the high line has been found out, or teams have just figured it out. But a lot of things have changed for Barcelona this season, and a lot of elements are not the same as they were last season, particularly with how easily players buy in to a particular philosophy. I think with Flick coming in his first season, fresh, new ideas, everybody is willing to play by it. But I think right now, because of the personal issues with the exit of Inigo Martinez and some of the injuries that we're having, what you're actually seeing is some players who probably do not function as well in that system being forced to now have to adapt to it because, like we said, the coach has shown that he's not willing to compromise on his system or on his style. Given that they do not perform well in that system, they automatically would not be as fully invested or full of belief in that same system. It doesn't help them to shine. I'm talking about players like Ronald Araujo. The highline obviously does not suit him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a bad defender,
Mm.
but the system does not suit him. He was coming off of a long injury last season, but even then, when you saw him try to get space in the team, it was a problem for him adjusting to it. After a while, it seemed like Flick kind of just gave up on integrating him and just decided, let me don't put a powder keg on this. He only played when it was absolutely necessary to give somebody rest or if somebody was injured.
True.
Fast forward to this season, he's basically one of the only fit defenders that we have left. He clearly, I don't want to single him out because there were bad performances all throughout that backline in that game, but he clearly does not thrive in this system. And because he doesn't thrive in the system, I don't think he really believes in it. And all it takes is a little bit of self doubt to start to seed into your defensive line for the others to be out of sync. Suddenly, Balde is off his game in terms of his runs. He doesn't know when he's going out or when he's coming. Suddenly, Kunte is his level is dropped because he has to now constantly think about coming inside to assist the centre back, so he has to make a darting run back because somebody has breached the line. I'm tired, not necessarily of having adversity, but it's just annoying to see the same. It's like it's like the FIFA glitch. It's like you see the player, it's like the man putting in a cheat code and you're just seeing the same goal being conceded over and over and over again. No matter the team, no matter the player, no matter the stadium, no matter the situation, all over the top, ball through the middle, one, two passes in behind, either pass it to the other player or shoot on goal. I can't blame Chesney. I would have conceded. I think anybody would have conceded some of them goals there. But Chesney is not our first choice goalkeeper. It speaks volumes that we decided to go with Chesney over the likes of Inaki Pena and later in the season, Test again, even when he came back fit last season. We do not have the goalkeeper we just invested money in. The backline doesn't have the leader. We have injuries in the team. It's really no surprise, at least given those variables, that these performances are there. But here's the thing, in our wrap up, we saw evidence that things like this could happen since the last season. The pundits and everybody else can be wrong with, oh, this high line is dangerous. We know it's dangerous. You can't be playing this system and not pressing. You can't be playing this in the system and not looking out for your fellow teammate who has just gone on a run. You can't be playing in this system and not monitoring space. You're on the halfway line and you have fast people next to you. Or something. You're not getting away with it that easily to be, oh, this is what the coach will play. You're professional footballers. Just to the situation. Especially later in games. Especially later in games. What are we doing? We gotta fix that, man. That's my, yeah. And I'm gonna leave it there. We want to talk about some positive things. So we want to talk about some of the upcoming clashes, particularly in the Premier League. Liverpool versus City. Who you got? Talk and say it's just.
Draw.
Draw?
2-2.
Yeah, the game tends to draw, don't it?
2-2.
I agree with a City, man. Remember, I have City as doing well in the Premier League this season. So I just want it to be that kind of moment where, yeah, boy, they get a nice win over Liverpool. Liverpool back to struggling rhetoric in the Premier League, and City marches on to trouble.
Gunners will be smiling with a truck.
Yeah, they would be the big winners.
Just
In
a
that,
just a quick little thing on that game. I really think, like I mentioned earlier, it would be really interesting to see how Pep sets up his team. But it would be even interesting to see how Slot sets up his team as well, going away to the Etihad, knowing City would want to be dominant on the ball. I really, really hope we have a good game because a lot of these games in these big games in England tend to be a little cagey. Both teams not necessarily trying to win, but trying not to lose. So I hope we see an open game. I really want to see goals for my fantasy team as well. So, so
Points.
hope we get a good game this week.
I feel it would be a cautious approach from both sides, simply because they already know that they are off in the title race already, a few points off in the title race, and any slight mistake could send you a little further down. So I feel it would be a cautious approach, and that's why I believe it will be a draw.
True. Alright, nice. Man U versus Spurs.
Well, United just coming off a 2-1 draw with Nottingham Forest last week
Mm.
in a game where they were expected to get a better result, I would say, because Nottingham Forest have been poor and United have been on a win streak for the first time in a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So United will want to bounce back, but as we just mentioned, Spurs defeated Copenhagen in the week, so they seem to be flying. But they are also up and down like Chelsea, as we mentioned earlier as well. So that is another game that has the potential for a score draw, I would say.
Score draw type of situation. I think Amorim or something for that.
Think so.
Yeah.
Also,
I'd
7-5.
say they definitely have the better attacking players. So,
I I see it could be like another 1-0 game,
1-0.
something silly like just
Casemiro.
yeah,
Amorim. Amorim.
yeah, because
Oh,
It's been a great signing so far this season.
Amorim.
Spurs in particular have struggled to score goals, but Man United actually, I know some we don't like here about XG, but Man United are actually up there in terms of goals expected, chances, them kind of vibes.
I like XG as a stat. It's just how it's used and applied
Yeah, how it's
in the argument is my problem.
all right. Editor, cue me. Man of the match, dogs, and the money. We want to talk about the man of the match. Who has been your standout player in the recently concluded week of fixtures all across Europe? It could be from league play, it could be from the Champions League games in midweek, or even Europa League from today.
Okay, so my man of the match is gonna be Victor Osimhen. He scored a hat trick away in Amsterdam against Ajax.
Yeah, boss up.
He's now the leading goal scorer in the Champions League with 6, just ahead of the three-headed monster of Kane, Haaland, and Mbappe.
Mm.
So it speaks volumes that Osimhen is ahead of those guys. So that's my man of the match for this week.
Right? How about you, Dappy?
All right, so honorable mention, I will come after. But my man of the match is Carlos Forbes. Uh, he was unplayable actually, and he could have even had a hat trick. He scored 2 goals and had an assist. And yeah,
Real
but
explosive, Jen. Real pace
people
and
started researching the kid because they want to know where he moved from, but he was at City's Academy, Wolves, and so forth. So he's been around the block. But yeah, Carlos Forbes. Hopefully he could, take this and go forward, do better things. And my
honorable mention.
honorable mention is Thibaut Courtois, man.
All
For
right,
sure.
so
Thibaut
right.
Courtois, I'm pretty sure he left that match with the man of the match. Huh? I mean, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy what he did. It could have easily been 5-0. So, yeah, honorable mention, big up yourself, Thibaut.
Thibaut. I was gonna give my man of the match to Thibaut, but given that he didn't really keep Liverpool at bay completely, I have decided to go for young Phil Foden from Manchester City. You gotta hand it to him. Always had a lot of pressure on his shoulders from a young age. But now, given that KDB is not around anymore, you have to say that he's coming into his own in terms of maturing both in his play and in his professionalism on the ball, off the ball, becoming more of a leader in the team. And best way to lead a team sometimes is to lead from the front. 2 goals and showing up and showing them that I'm here and I can turn up when City needs me. So that's my man of the match. But I would share the honorable mention and big up Thibaut for another excellent performance, really and truly. Gotta hate it, but gotta love it same as still. So We wanna do some quick rate it or hate it, right? Bayern Munich, 41 matches unbeaten in the group stage, beat PSG. You know, are we impressed with that level of dominance on Bayern, or is it getting a bit?
I would go against the grain and say that I hate it.
You hate it?
Yeah, because yes, it's an impressive streak, very, very impressive. But how many Champions League titles have they went on to win during that streak, right? So while it's good to remain consistent in the group stage, you'd always qualify for the knockout round. What happens in the knockout round is what matters the most, in my opinion, especially for a club of Bayern's stature. So while it may be a nice Guinness Book of Records type of thing, nice trivia question, nice, thing, but
Nice little tidbit.
nice little tidbit. I'm sure that Bayern fans would much rather lose that streak and trade it for a Champions League title.
True.
Fair.
All right, rate it or hate it. Pafos celebrate their first historic win, group stage victory, 1-0 over Villarreal. Do we have underdog story in the making for the Champions League? That is just a fluke, and just
Big up Pafos, if it's one thing I have to
rate it.
say. Yeah, man, of course. I mean, Champions League wins ain't easy to
You,
come
you got
by.
you got to rate it. You got to
It's
rate it.
easy to come by at all. It have big teams who went campaigns without a win.
Correct.
Just to come into this is probably their first one and get a victory of a big team, big scalp like Villarreal. Yeah, man, of course.
This is their first ever win in the Champions League. That's a big opponent they played as well, like you said. And they actually have two draws before this game as well, so they're currently on 5 points. So
We're doing well. All right. Foden, as we just said, 2 goals, controlling the game versus Dortmund, reminiscent of Kevin De Bruyne in his time at Manchester City, in being the creative hub of the team. Is Foden finally living up to the name, English English Iniesta? Rated or hated?
Hate it.
Hated.
don't mention Phil Foden's name with Andres Iniesta ever again.
Take my wife's name out your God.
Yeah.
Yeah, while I wait for them, yeah, he still ain't show the level of consistency needed to be mentioned in the likes of a, conversation with likes of, I mean, yes.
I just pay attention to the adjective, but he's English. Honest. My producer said, Victor Osimhen, hat-trick hero. Big number 9, burying Ajax. Statement in Amsterdam. Rated or hated? Is Osimhen an elite striker? Or is he in the conversation of the top strikers right now?
Why is he even in talking?
Yeah, that's the issue. He definitely has the talent.
Me have no money for buying him.
No, it's crazy, it's like,
What is the situation? We bring him this bed.
I think it's suspicious. Like,
Money
no
like
team, no team at all.
So we don't want to go there for
Something's up, something with his agent, something with his demands. It's got to be something
Something
because
is.
talent wise, he's definitely one of the best strikers in Europe, for sure.
So we rate it. Oh, I hate this one. Barca held 3-3 by Club Brugge. 6 goals, 6 different scorers. Defensive chaos, but entertaining match for the neutral. Rate it or hate it? Best game of the round or just Barca's shaky defense?
Great entertainment, I must say.
Of course, I rated it. I could sit down and watch a match like that every day,
Mm.
especially when you guys involved.
Great
Just
entertainment.
the struggle alone that you have to go through and the
We're talking about actual quality,
yeah,
but great entertainment.
They rate it. I hate it. Oh well. And finally, Newcastle, 2-0 versus Athletic Club, as we said earlier. Third clean sheet in the UCL, as we said, Shabba, the only club to beat them, were Barcelona. Newcastle as the dark horse for Europe, rated or hated?
hate it.
Hated.
Hated Newcastle and Dark Horse for nothing, but they'd be a tough out for any team because they have a solid base, back five, Nick Pope and the likes of Bowen and Batman, Tonali and Bruno in midfield. They have a good team.
And that wraps up our discussion on an entertaining week of football in the UEFA Champions League. Lots of games, lots of goals, lots of moments, and I got to say, I'm really loving this new Champions League format for better or for worse. I don't think it, at least right now, I don't really feel like it punishing the big teams for slipping up as much as the other format might have, with less games to really play and just, the same teams to play again. Given that if a team, like figured you out in the first leg, you have to worry about the second leg. But it is interesting, and I think that this really, really bodes well for the future. The competition, it's gonna remain one of the most exciting fixtures, one of the most exciting things on the calendar for sure. This has been yet another episode of Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective. Your host, Prime.
It's your boy Shabba.
Naps. Big up Allister.
Yeah, man, and we're signing off, bringing you all the latest, the best teams, the best players, and the best takes on global sports from a Caribbean perspective.
One global.